One route to entrepreneurship is franchising. But how do you pick the right franchise? And when it's also a family business, how do you manage the boundaries between work and family? Today, we'll be talking with Sharon Beck, the franchise owner of Jovie Childcare. She is a mom of three boys and has been a franchise owner since 2017. Sharon is passionate about empowering working families and providing exceptional childcare solutions through her business. She is also employing her parents, her mom and dad. Thank you for being with me, Sharon.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, what made you decide to buy a franchise and why Jovi?
So, I started working in retail management after college, and I did that for about 4 years. After getting married and having my first child, I started seeking opportunities that would allow me to have more flexibility to be home with my son. Around that same time, my dad, who was a stagehand on Phantom of the Opera for over 30 years, was exploring early retirement. One of his childhood friends reached out to him and asked if he'd be interested in opening a franchise, and it just seemed like the perfect opportunity for us to work together. So we ended up working with a franchise advisor for several months. We completed personality assessments and discussed our values. We really wanted to find a business that could make a positive impact in our community. Jovi stood out because of its mission of building stronger families. From our initial meeting with the franchisor, we saw how deeply they embodied that mission, and we knew that this was the right fit for us.
Now, I first met you through your mom, who is incredibly proud of your business and all that you've built. So, what is it like employing your mom and dad?
So, having a strong relationship is essential when working with your parents. Neither of them had any experience in business management, so they had to place a lot of trust in me to guide them. I felt a great deal of responsibility to not let them down, which motivated me to work even harder to achieve our goals.
So,
And
did you have a business background?
yeah, so I have my bachelor's degree in business management, and then I was doing retail management after college.
So, what has been some of the issues, maybe any advice you'd have for someone who is employing their mom and dad?
So, for anybody working with family, my advice would be to communicate openly and set clear expectations. It's really important to recognize each other's strengths and create a structure that plays to those strengths while maintaining professionalism. When I was expecting my second son, I transitioned some of my management responsibilities to my mom. Training a parent is very different from training other employees, so I tailored some of the tasks to her strengths, which helped her thrive in her new role.
So, why was it different?
Um, because when you have an employee that you're hiring them for their specific strengths, when you're hiring a family member, you need to adapt the role a little bit more for them to fit in it. And maybe there's some things that, she's not as technology savvy and didn't want to do as much, stuff in spreadsheets. So I would see what I could do to still be helpful while I had a newborn at home, but give her work that was more in line with her strengths.
And so, I have to ask, so what are some of the advantages of hiring your mom and dad?
We get along really well, so it's fun to work together. Both my parents were in show business when I was growing up, so I didn't see them a whole lot. So I feel like I'm making up for missed time, getting to spend a lot more time with them now as an adult.
Oh, that's so nice. And as I mentioned, your mom is so proud. And even she communicated, she's willing to do almost anything to help see you succeed. So I absolutely love that. So, as the daughter running the business, have you had to overcome any hurdles, particularly in building credibility?
Absolutely. So early on, I experienced moments where I wasn't taken seriously due to my age or role. For example, at a speed networking event with my dad, I had shared my business pitch with someone who really didn't seem too interested, and he didn't even want to take my business card. A few minutes later, my dad gave him the same exact pitch, and he received a much more enthusiastic response. And that was really a stark reminder for me of the biases that I will face as a younger business owner.
So, what have you done?
Well, I've just, worked on asserting myself in my role and, being the expert in my field. And my parents have always been incredibly supportive in ensuring that others recognize my position too. Internally, we had issues with a former manager where she would approach my dad with questions that should have been directed towards me, but he would always redirect her to me and reinforce that I was her supervisor. And if she had any questions, that they should be coming to me and not him.
Oh, that's actually really good advice that your parents actually took that initiative to direct them to you and remind them that you're the boss.
Other thing I've had to do with my dad is I had to ask him to not share childhood stories about, me as a kid with other business owners or within our franchise system. And where I get that that's his way to relate to other people and, share their stories, it puts me in a position of looking like a little kid and I need to, be an adult and be the professional. And so we want to keep those stories outside of business.
Oh, that's a really good lesson too. I think a lot of us do that by mistake, but yeah, it can put a little bit of a shadow on you. That's right. That's very good advice. So, family businesses, you already kind of hinted at it. They often struggle with managing boundaries between work and family. So, what's some of your advice on that? How are you doing it?
So we've made a conscious effort to set boundaries between work and personal time. For example, if we go out to eat as a family or spend time with my kids, we try to avoid discussing work to keep it just strictly family time. On the flip side, if we're doing a work meeting, we keep conversations focused on business and avoid personal topics, especially when we're in a meeting with non family member employees. And so establishing and respecting these boundaries really helps us maintain both healthy family relationships and a productive work environment.
And you have to sometimes remind one another.
Yeah, occasionally we'll be doing our morning daily meeting on Zoom and they'll ask me about how my kid's doctor's appointment went. I'm like, no, it's not the time to be asking about that. I'll talk to you on the phone afterwards.
And then that's okay. I have to ask some final words of advice for families maybe who own a franchise or are thinking of buying one as a family.
So, for families that are considering buying a franchise, I would definitely recommend speaking with a range of franchise owners, not just the ones that are referred by the franchisor, and prepare a detailed list of questions to understand the support that you might receive from the franchisor, the financial and time commitments required, and any other factors critical to your decision. For families that are already in a franchise, and I think this applies to all family businesses really, it's really important to have contingency plans in place in case of a family emergency where, if multiple of you are not available to take care of the day to day operations. And then also having a strong succession plan with multiple options on whether family members wish to continue it in future generations or if it needs to be passed along to a non family member.
I should ask because this actually piqued my interest right at the beginning that you actually worked with a franchise advisor.
Mhm.
And how did you find one? And any advice about working with them? Do you recommend it?
I think it was a great, with my parents not having the business experience and I didn't necessarily have like a light bulb idea, like, hey, this is a great, idea for a business that I can start from scratch. But I knew I had the skills and the drive to want to start running my own business. So having a system that you can join into and, get the support from the corporate office, but then still have the freedom to make your own decisions and do what's right for your business has been a really great opportunity.
Oh, that's excellent. Well, this has been a pleasure being with you today, Sharon. And I wish you lots of continued success. I know you just got promoted within the franchise too, correct?
Yes, I was actually just elected to the board of directors for the Owners Association. And at our last conference, I earned the Impact Award for making a significant impact on our brand.
Oh, that's excellent. Well, it's lovely to talk to you again, Sharon. Thank you for being with me today. I'm Kim Eddleston with FamilyBusiness.org and Entrepreneur Innovation Exchange.
Thank you so much.